Welcome back, everyone. We're cruising around in the Camaro today, made by Chevrolet, which brings us into a perfect topic here: auto tariffs. One of the companies very affected by them, Chevrolet. So I want to give you a different perspective, I think, than anybody on YouTube that I've seen has. So most of the people talking about this are in the automotive space as a journalist or, something to that nature, right? Well, I can give you a perspective from somebody who's not only, into automotive stuff, but also in the manufacturing industry, not the automotive manufacturing industry, but the manufacturing industry in general. So a lot of this stuff does apply and carry over. So let's talk about it. First of all, how bad or how good are the tariffs for our country, for the specific companies they affect, stuff like that. That, like I said, that I'm going to kind of put it to the side here. I want to talk about how a tariff actually affects a company internally. Like, what does a GM executive, a Ford executive, whoever, when they hear a tariff is coming, what do they say? How do they feel about it? And I can tell you that on the surface, they'd never generally like tariffs because it will almost always hurt the company's bottom line, at least in the short term. I mean, that's just their simple reality, mathematical reality of a tariff, is that you will not be able to make as much money that year that the tariffs come into place because you've got to move manufacturing, you've got to do whatever the things are you got to do to compensate for the tariff. And what are those things, right? I think nobody talks about that. So a lot of companies have different part sourcing strategies. Some places, are only local, right? They only want to source parts locally. And generally, most companies want to at least dual source or tri-source parts. Generally, dual source. That's just for assurance of supply. If you have quality issues with one supplier, you can go to another supplier. And, it's just good for business, right? You can usually keep prices fairly low, even if you dual source and you don't have as much volume going to each company. It's usually not too bad. So that's kind of the goal, right? Dual source suppliers. Some places prefer to have an overseas supplier and a local supplier in order to get a cost break overseas, but then still have the theoretical quality and reliability of a local supplier if they were to have an issue with that overseas supplier. So that's going to depend on the company. If you are in that scenario, right, where you've got an overseas and a local supplier, that's also a hedge against things like a tariff. So companies will purposely do that so that they don't have to worry as much about tariffs, right? So that's something that some companies do account for even before there's tariffs talked about. Because you got to remember, guys, all these things are decided years and years in advance, and you live with the consequences of it in the future. There's no way to really decide some of these business decisions ahead of time. It's just not possible. Unfortunately, it takes too long to ramp up production and qualify suppliers and do various processes to qualify suppliers in order to have production start within 1 or 2 or 3 months. Production takes a year to start with most suppliers, especially for a more complex part. So those are all things that you're going to have to kind of factor in. When you say to yourself, oh, well, there's a tariff coming, why doesn't company X just move their manufacturing to the U.S. like they should in a sense? Well, that's why, right? It's not that simple. So let's say you've got this Chinese supplier and an American supplier, for argument's sake. If you have that luxury, right now, you call up your American supplier, theoretically, and you order more parts from them. Maybe you, instead of going from a 50-50 dual source split, you go to like 70-30 or 90-10 or whatever it is. Just enough to keep that Chinese supplier so you don't lose them, whatever that number needs to be, but not so much that you're wasting money, right? With that dual source split, you can play with those numbers and try to figure out what makes the most sense for your business now that there's a tariff. However, if you then have countries, which is starting to happen, it looks like, go ahead and make like a retaliatory tariff, here's a tongue twister, then sometimes that doesn't really make much sense. And you could wind up spending more by going to that other country or staying with the US, whatever it is, right? You then have all this crazy math to do to figure out, okay, what country's actually cheaper? Where does it make the most sense to get my parts from? And I think that people don't realize when it comes to businesses in general, any corporation I've ever worked for or seen or heard of, the number one thing that they're most concerned about is not actually sometimes what they're spending for a part or to build something or whatever it is. It's uncertainty. Corporations and the stock market and all of these types of things hate uncertainty. That is the ultimate driver of kind of, lowered value in general. From a manufacturing perspective, from a from an income perspective for the company, all that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing, tariff or no tariff, right, is in my professional opinion, for lack of a better term, you need to be, and I say this again from the perspective of somebody in the manufacturing field, for the sake of manufacturing, you need to make a tariff or whatever decision it is that affects companies quickly and very distinctly lay out exactly all of the parameters of it, so there's no kind of questioning or wondering, what are some of the details of this plan. You need to also give the companies basically a year or two's notice. Anything you institute before that will cause havoc in the marketplace because the company won't have time to properly prepare. I guarantee it. And that's the number one takeaway, I think, for this video is a company will find a way to adjust. They will find a way to make a profit. They will find a way to make a product at a reasonable price. Unless if you put 100% tariff on things, sure, maybe not then. But if it's an even remotely reasonable tariff or a remotely reasonable regulatory policy or whatever it is, companies are very creative and they have creative people working for them. They will figure stuff out. But you have to give them time. No corporation in the world moves swiftly. They all have bureaucracy. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and they all need time to adjust and understand, teach their employees the new, constraints to which they're working and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think that that's really the big thing, at least from the manufacturing perspective. You got to give them time to kind of tool up new production lines, move parts with different suppliers, qualify new suppliers, qualify new parts with current suppliers, all these different types of manufacturing 101 type things. You can only condense into so short of a timeline. And if you start having to hire new employees, like temporary workers or even full-time employees, to manage moving some of these parts to new places because there's so many to do at once, well, then not only are you paying the cost of the tariff increase on parts, you're paying for more overhead of employees and desks and office space and all that kind of stuff. So, and then, you've achieved the goal of employing more Americans potentially. But, is that really the right way to go about it? Probably not, because those jobs aren't necessarily going to be permanent jobs either. So with all this being said, what is the real world effect on you as a consumer and as a car enthusiast, or not even a car enthusiast, just as a consumer in general? Well, I think you're going to see a couple things happen. I think you're going to see cars definitely go up a little bit in price. However, the market is really not super hot for cars anyway, right? The car market's a little bit in a downturn to begin with. So I think what you might actually see happen, or at least what will happen, is instead of rebates that probably would have existed coming down the pipeline, I think it's very possible that we would have seen, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 rebates on a lot of cars in the next year or two. I think that you just won't see rebates. And or if there's already rebates on cars, you won't see further rebates. You won't see 0% financing offers. You will see more cars stuck on dealer lots, right? Inventories will be up. I think you're going to find that all of those metrics that we use to determine kind of the health of the car market stay the same and or get worse. Whereas if there weren't tariffs, you probably would have some rebates and it would get some cars moving, and you would potentially have a little bit more volume being moved in the car market. So that's my short-term thoughts of what will happen. Long long term, what's realistically going to happen? Well, that's a good question, because tariffs are a very dual-edged sword, right? In theory, with no tariffs, everything becomes made in a low-cost country. All your parts, eventually all your actual full final assemblies, and then your country has no industry. And hey, maybe your country, literally winds up going under, right? If you have no industry, you get taken over by somebody else more powerful. I don't know. That's kind of conspiratorial, but that is an extreme, right? The idea of tariffs being that you help bring manufacturing back to the country that you're living in, and then therefore boost your economy. Give people more jobs, more people have money, more people maybe have enough money to go buy a car. That's the idea behind it, right? Now, I'm not going to get into a big political debate on whether or not that makes sense or not. That's not where I'm a professional. I'm solely talking about the car market and kind of how this affects manufacturing facilities. But long term, companies have been dealing with tariffs in general for forever, basically. Even long before the U.S. even existed, there were, even if they weren't calling them tariffs, there were essentially tariffs via, various laws and regulations that countries made, all the way back to ancient Rome, right? On the Silk Road kind of thing. So whether there's tariffs, no tariffs, Trump, no Trump, whatever it is, companies will find a way. And will that change your experience as a citizen, as somebody buying cars? Yes, it probably will. And how much will it change that experience? Well, it's just hard to say the net change. Even if car prices go up, if the whole economy goes up, then maybe it's still a net benefit, right? If the economy doesn't go up, becomes stronger enough, then maybe it's a net negative. It's nearly impossible to say, unfortunately, what the exact repercussions would be, or I should say consequences, right? Whether or not they're positive or negative. And I'm not just saying that to be diplomatic. You just really don't know. And the media and obviously your persuasion of political belief can or will probably influence, whether you think tariffs are good or not. But the reality of it is that won't change what actually winds up happening. And we will just have to wait and see what winds up happening. It kind of sounds like I'm beating around the bush, but that is just the reality of it. So anyway, circling it back to the car market specifically and what that means for you and I would expect to see short to mid-term rising prices and or stagnation of prices in a market where they should be going down otherwise. And long-term, hopefully, we see a benefit for the country, right? I think anybody, regardless of your political beliefs, if the U.S. is doing well and its people are doing well, that is a good thing, right? So I'm always rooting for the U.S. economy just in general. And frankly, any country's, any of our allies' economies. I want to see everybody on the planet prosper, right? Not to get too hippy-dippy about this, but I don't want to see anybody suffering, right? So ideally, in the perfect world, everybody could do well. Obviously, it doesn't quite work that way, but that's totally off topic. Anyway, guys, I think that'll wrap this one up. I've rambled long enough. As always, thanks for watching. God bless America, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.